It keeps happening. I just when I placed my phone down, I almost dropped it because I'm trying to keep my hands still as I'm demonstrating this, but I mean, yeah, I don't really know why, because what I'm demonstrating is tremors. Not the normal tremors that I normally get, but tremors due to a fear response that I have continued to have this whole time. I can't really control it when this happens. This just happens, but it's always for the exact same reason. It's always the exact same thing that triggers this, that eggs this on. The same event or series of events. I mean, I've had clinical PTSD for years, at least as far as I'm aware. It probably extends back, far before I initially got the diagnosis, something around like 6 years ago. It's probably before that, because the symptoms that they identified to give me the diagnosis, I was exhibiting well before that. But I had PTSD and autism and social anxiety, and transient psychosis, which came with my insomnia that I would get due to PTSD. I would get severe, or I still get severe insomnia that is congruent with the nightmares that I have, which are just the recollection of past traumatic events, and the periods of time that I go through where I am just recalling these traumatic memories in a vivid manner, and then being unable to think about anything else, trying everything I can to not remember, and I end up just being overcome, consumed with this anxiety, where like I try to avoid all these things that trigger it, but every little thing reminds me of that thing that made me scared, and I can't, I actually can't think about anything else. All I'm doing is just looking around me, constantly trying to identify threats, potential threats. It's like every little thing reminds me of that. I'm actually trying not to like lose my breath as I'm talking about this. My leg is just going fucking crazy down here. Like the other day, like the other day, my mom, I called my mom, and literally all I heard was a knock at the door. It was a knock at the door. One of my dad's, drugged up friends coming in and out, like always. That's all that ever happens at that place. It's like people get released from jail, and then their first stop is to go to my dad's house. I hear a knock on the door, and my first thought is, this is the feds again trying to harass me. And of course it wasn't that, but just that knock at that house over the phone, triggered me to have a panic attack. And you can imagine what my reaction was every time there would be a knock at the door at that house, which was every day, multiple times a day. I'd have a panic attack. And it wasn't like this before. I struggled to go outside. I had some agoraphobia symptoms. Now, I didn't have agoraphobia, you know, at this point in time prior to the feds coming to my house, but, you know, I thought I had, well, it wasn't I thought I did recover from it by that point, but I had it in the past. And so, you know, a knock at the door would cause a little anxiety in me, or usually it wouldn't, but sometimes it caused a little. Then those guys show up, and I find out who those guys were, and I get so terrified that I pull a bottle of bleach out from the kitchen, and I keep it right next to my bed for in case they bust down the door to wrongfully accuse me of something or attempt to entrap me somehow, whatever shady methods that these people do, these un-American people, the shady methods that they engage in to put innocent people in jail. I thought they were trying to target me like that because they had no reason to come to my house. I hadn't committed a crime. I hadn't done anything wrong. So there was no reason for them to come to my house. So, of course, the logical conclusion then is they have no reason to come here other than to try and do something shady to do an overextension of their power and bully me and try to get an innocent guy behind bars. It seemed like that was the only thing that made sense, and I didn't want to have all these fake accusations levied against me, because I thought, you know, surely in a system where that can be done to people, the innocent person is bound to fail. You know, they're bound to take the fall, because if institutions with all this power can do this to someone, can even attempt to do this to someone, then surely the innocent person is going to fail. So what did I do? I took a bottle of bleach and I put it in my room, in my bed right next to me. And I had these other, you know, various things that I found from inside the house there with me so I could kill myself. So if they busted down that door to try to get me, I could immediately kill myself. That was the point. And I ended up finding out what it was when I was just going on my trip to the UK to see my best friend in the world, no thank you. I found out what it was about. It was just about that satirical video that I made. Just an innocent, stupid little video of me waving a prop which looked like a realistic firearm around, saying nonsensical things into the camera that don't make any sense. They don't make any sense because it was facetious hyperbole in an attempt to satirize the current polarization in our political climate by taking the most extreme positions from both sides and kind of mashing them together in a way that was simply incoherent. That was the point of that video. But, of course, someone misinterpreted it. Someone misinterpreted it because I'm not the best at satire and I am autistic. I struggle to read social cues. I can struggle to convey my message. Sometimes it misses the mark. And so someone misinterpreted that. They thought it was genuine. They thought it was serious. So what do? They come to my house to harass me, to target me over what was fundamentally an innocent gesture of self-expression, an innocent attempt at making a mockery of how ridiculous this political climate is. That was all it was. And of course I was able to prove my innocence. But that was after having the deeply traumatizing experience of spending every waking moment of the day having to think about how I was going to potentially have to kill myself to avert the arrest of me as an innocent person, only to go to some kind of federal penitentiary to get anally raped. You know, that experience that I had as a young child, that destroyed me, like destroyed my whole childhood, destroyed me as a person. And my whole adulthood has been me having to like pick up the pieces and try to figure out how to put them back together. And so I don't break the rules. I don't do anything wrong, because I'm afraid of that thing that happened to me as a child happening to me now. And I know that's what happens in there. And so, like, I would never do anything like that. Whatever it was that they thought that I did, or they knew that I didn't do but wanted to pin on me. I had no idea why they'd come there, because I hadn't done anything wrong, but of course it was over a fucking stupid internet video. It's just insane. It's just insane. You know, they can't catch school shooters, but they go after me over an innocent video that's clearly satirical. But I suppose I missed my mark. I didn't do a good enough job, and it ended up not being clear. Okay, you know, that's my bad. But there's one video like that in comparison to hundreds of other videos, over 1,000 other videos I've made. You can't cross-reference them or look at all my other videos and determine that I am clearly a rational and articulate person who is capable of weighing the good and bad in a balanced way, capable of behaving as a moral actor. No, they didn't do their research. They didn't do their job. And so, of course, they come to my house and harass me and traumatize me. Every waking moment of those days that they would come to my house and slam on my door. They didn't knock, they slammed again and again and again with 4, 5 people in these suits outside my house. Every waking moment of those days, it was over a week this was happening. All I could think about was what I thought was the very real reality that I was going to kill myself. Because I thought, you know, one of these days they're gonna smash through that thing. And I'm gonna be dead. Because that's what they will have done. Because the moment that they did that, I had my bleach and my other suicide methods right there to take my own life. It was terrifying. It was one of the most terrifying things that I had ever experienced. Because in addition to the fear of being wrongfully accused of something, in addition to my fear of the government, in particular these fundamentally un-American institutions, such as the FBI, that violate our Constitution and engage in heinous overreach of government in defiance of everything that our Constitution and this nation and its people stand for, that do this. All of that fear existed in addition to the psychosis that, or in the context of also the psychosis that I experienced when I was stuck awake for 5 days, you know, in the months prior to this, and I had to go to the hospital because I was stuck awake for 5 days and went into psychosis. I thought an international conspiracy was out to get me. And during that, it felt extremely real, you know, because I genuinely believed that this international conspiracy was happening and that I was going to be tried and convicted on false pretenses. That psychosis occurs, And then this nonsense with the FBI occurs, this wild goose chase that I thought would land me in a kangaroo court. This witch hunt occurs. That psychosis happens, and I get the help that I needed, and I recover, and I think, wow, nothing's gonna happen to me. But the fear was still there because it was a traumatic experience to have that psychosis. And then what happens? These guys show up to an innocent man's house, that being my own. And in my mind, it feels like it's confirming everything that I thought when I was in psychosis. And this is in addition to that fear that I had of being raped again. That I thought I was going to get raped again. I thought I was going to get molested again. Because I thought they were going to throw me into a kangaroo court, given the fact that they were going after a fundamentally innocent man. I've done nothing. And yet this is what they do to me. How in the world could something like this be fair? And given the fact that they can't catch school shooters, they can't catch people that they should actually be trying to catch. Given the fact that if they've seen my videos, assuming they actually did their job, which given how incompetent these institutions are, it's doubtful. But assuming they actually watched my videos, they must know that I would have this traumatic response, that my PTSD would be triggered by these people. They must know that, if they actually did their job. But they did it anyway. Now they went after me anyway. And what does that say, other than they want me dead? They want to kill me. They want me to kill myself because of this harassment. I don't see what other conclusion I could be left with other than they want me dead. And given the fact that these are un-American institutions run by un-American people that hire un-American people, that would make perfect sense. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some good people in all of these institutions. There are. But they're fighting for the wrong guys. The guys that act in defiance of the rule of law. I mean, we started the war on terrorism, and the war on terrorism was fundamentally meant to target terrorists. And what is the goal of terrorists? It's to terrorize people. It is to commit acts of violence and tyranny with the goal of instilling fear and terror in their victims for ideological ends, to meet some ideological goal. And under that definition, who are the FBI besides terrorists? That's exactly who these people are. And these are the people that, we claimed back in the early 2000s that we're going to war with. Well, maybe somebody in the government should wage that war here at home. And I don't know who that's going to be. I don't know if some transformative candidate like that is going to come around. But they're going to keep doing this to innocent people like me, unless somebody gets in there and does a regulatory overhaul of these institutions and these people. And I hope and pray, I pray to God that somebody will do that. It's not going to cure the damage that these people did to me, the abuse that these people wrought on me. But it's going to prevent further abuses from occurring in the future. And I understand the shady things that these people do. These people exist to radicalize innocent autistic people like me in efforts to entrap them, to get them to commit acts of violence similar to those committed by the people on January 6th, which I unequivocally denounce, similar to the acts of violence committed by the people who tried to kidnap the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. Some of the people in that case were literally acquitted by the jury because they found that they were radicalized by the FBI in an attempt to entrap them. This is an institution that does all kinds of shady stuff to try and get innocent autistic people radical and to do bad things. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what they were trying to do to me with this harassment, that they were subtly trying to get inside of my mind to get me to do something wrong. Well, I've got a newsflash. That's the exact opposite of what will happen. And of course, I think there should be some kind of regulation, some kind of transformation that prevents similar events from like this from occurring. But that's not going to be through violence. That's not going to be through radical action, because that is the kind of action that is precisely antithetical to the goals of reform. Reform is not going to happen if a bunch of crazy people go out there with guns and try to do some crazy shit. That's just going to turn the public against their goals, rightfully so, because this is a Christian country. And as a Christian country, we acknowledge that violence is wrong. And of course, not all of us are Christians, but most Americans are religious in some way, and virtually every religion in Western society dictates that violence is wrong, has some message about how violence is wrong. And so what's the fastest way to turn the public against your message? Well, it's to commit an act of violence. And so if you want any kind of change, that is literally the worst way to go about it. That you're aiding and abetting your opposition. You're giving them ammunition and fuel to throw on the fire. But of course, as the enemies of reform and as the enemies of freedom, the FBI wants violence to occur. If the FBI is your enemy, you gotta engage in nonviolence. You gotta fight back by being peaceful, because their goal is to put you in jail. Any proponent for change or peace or freedom, their goal is to put you in jail, rightfully or wrongfully. And so of course they want to radicalize you into violence, just like they wanted to radicalize me into violence. And that's why they came to my house and harassed me. Because fundamentally, they saw my videos, they saw who I was, they saw that I was an innocent man who had some mental problems, who has PTSD, who struggles on a daily basis with PTSD, and they wanted to instill fear into me. They wanted to instill fear into me because they thought that fear would turn to hatred and greed and would lead to some kind of radical violent action that would turn against the public, that would turn the public against me and my goals, which are for peace and freedom. I simply want to be left alone. And I want a government that is transparent and will leave me and people like me alone. Autistic people who want nothing more than to play video games and watch anime and read books and discuss various philosophical ideas. I don't have much in this world. I don't have much. I have my wife, and and I have my God, and I have my country, and I have my books, and I have doing this on YouTube. And that's enough for me. But they won't leave me alone. I just want to be left alone to enjoy my life, to throw a frisbee to a dog at the park, to read my books from the Beat Generation, and to discuss philosophy, and to, eat beans on toast. I got a bit emotional there, so I had to press pause on the recording. But no, I don't have much. I don't need much. All I want is to be left alone with that which I do have. And these people, they want to come in my house and rummage through my things and violate my privacy. They want to pin things on me, to kill me. They want me dead. But that's not the outcome that they're gonna get. I am gonna continue to live my life, however fearful I may be. And I'm gonna continue to expose the lies and fraud of this institution, and the way in which they're continuing to rot this country inside out. But I know that this is a good country at the end of the day, with fundamentally good people who make up its population. And while these people who run these institutions are un-American, they've got a hell of a lot of Americans to hold them to account. But that's not going to be through violence. It's going to be precisely through non-violent means that these people are held to account. The kind of means that they don't want me to engage in. Because again, you consider all of the shady stuff that these institutions engage in, trying to entrap people, trying to radicalize people, to get them to do these horrible things. That's what they wanted to do to me. And that's not what happened. And that's not what's going to happen. Because I know that that's what they want to do to me. And it's terrifying. I mean, it's terrifying what they're doing to this country. Like, I'm shaking right now just thinking about what they did to me. But that's the cost of freedom, I suppose. When you use your freedom of speech, your freedom for self-expression, there's going to be all kinds of people, all kinds of un-American people who want to silence you and take you down. But it's never going to happen. All I can do is continue to live my life. I don't have much. I really don't have much. But I don't want much. I just want to live a simple life in peace. These people, they want to target me. They want to kill me. I don't know why. Is it because I'm autistic? Is it because I said the wrong kind of things, listened to the wrong kind of music? I don't know. But whatever it is, it keeps me awake at night. It haunts me in my nightmares. It haunts me throughout the day. So much that, even when I just call my mom and I hear a knock at the door, I still get panic attacks from over the phone. Not even anywhere near those people if they were breaking down the door. It's simply because that memory is etched in my mind. It's so vivid. So vividly it's placed there. Simply because it's there, I think it's gonna happen again. I feel like it's happening again. I can't let this kill me. But I think about what happened, and I think about what they did to me. And it kind of makes me want to kill myself.